the contestants to raise their hand. Are you around? Thank you. Take your seat. Take your seat. So we are about to start. So it's at 51. We will start the opening of Zoom. We will admit at 11:55. So 11:55 po. And then we start with Angelus at 12 o'clock. So we start promptly. The YouTube live streaming as well. And then the opening prayer, the Philippine National Anthem, and then the opening remarks, the preliminary part of the program. So, and then we'll have the presentation of the mechanics, just a review. And then there will be a part of the program where all the contestants will be led out of our plenary. This is the plenary. Back to the holding room where we were a while ago, where we had our lunch. So you'll be staying there, and Sir Ronald is in charge of calling you one by one, or when we say one by one, by groups. So for example, the first presenter will be, example, group number 1, example. So he'll pick you up and bring you here, and then you'll be seated. You'll be informed of the topic that's assigned to you or the case, and then there's a timer. There's like a 2-minute timer for you to have just a very brief talk to your group mates. And then you have 5 minutes. So after the 2 minutes, we start with your presentation for 5 minutes. So we have a timer as well. And then after the 5 minutes, we proceed to the interpellation. Good for 5 minutes as well. But the timer will only start after the judge has given the questions or series of questions. And then we start the timer, and then you have 5 minutes to answer. Okay. Of course, there's also no need for you to finish all the 5 minutes. It's just that it's the maximum. Okay? And then, yeah. So, and then we call the second group, second presenter, so and so forth. So, and then, of course, I'm sure you know the program. So we have the remainder of the program. Any questions from the contestants before we... Okay, so don't forget, you are not allowed to use your gadgets or your notes during the presentation here, okay, in the front. But you are allowed to use the blank piece of paper. No, we have bond paper and pencils, where you can jot down the questions, or you just wanna put it down on paper, whatever you like to write there. And then don't forget to bring the paper back with you after you present, so that we still have the... Of course, don't bring the pencil, by the way. Just leave it on the table. Okay? Okay, so it's 11:54. Are we good? No more questions? Everything, I hope, is clear. Don't worry, we'll have the presentation of the mechanics again, so just a very quick review later. And then, of course, the program proper. Okay? Okay, standby na po tayo. Okay na po lahat naman. Ready na po naman tayo. So it's 11:55. We can admit the participants, and then the organizers are around. So we'll start with Zoom and live streaming at 55, and then Sir Rodney is also ready. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
DLS-CSB is bound to comply with the Data Privacy Act 0173. It's implementing rules and regulations and relevant issuances of the National Privacy Commission. By participating in this activity, you are consenting to our collection and processing, including official DLS-CSB photo and video documentation and live streaming in accordance with this privacy notice. Please refer to the privacy policy found on their website. The information processed, such as name, image, video, and audio, will be used for documentation, communication, marketing, and systems administration purposes. We also use information gathered from you for abuse prevention and privacy protection. DLS-CSB shall only retain the said personal information until it serves its purpose, after which it shall be securely disposed of. Queries and complaints on data privacy can be directed to the Data Protection Officer at dpo@benilde.edu.
A pleasant good noon and welcome to the School of Multidisciplinary Studies, Theology and Philosophy areas, 8th Benildean Ethics Ball Competition. I am Miss Allen Pescasio.
This year's theme is Truth, Justice, and Responsibility in a Changing World. And I am Ben Carlo Atim, and we are your hosts and competition moderators today. It is an absolute delight to see you all here, ready to engage in this exciting and one of the most intellectually stimulating events the SMS Teofilo area has to offer. It's time to put on our ethics thinking and reasoning caps and get ready for a battle of wits as we kick off this exhilarating debate competition.
Let's do a quick audience pulse check. As we start the program, I would like to acknowledge our on-site audience, namely the iEthics student contestants. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Smile naman tayo dyan. You look so serious. Our esteemed guest, administrators, faculty members, and associates who are here with us on-site. Can we also greet and say hi to the person next to us? Kamusta po? Kamusta, sir? Sir Ben? We are so excited to have you here, filling this room with your energy and enthusiasm.
And to everyone joining us virtually, we are thrilled to have you with us today, whether you are tuning in from home or wherever you may be. We want to feel your presence as well. So make some virtual noise, Zoomies. Show us some love by hitting the clap or hooray reaction. And of course, to our YouTube live stream audience, a warm welcome to you all as well.
We're so grateful to God for the gift of technology that allows us to come together in this way. And we promise to make this experience just as engaging and interactive for you as it is for those of us here in person. We now proceed to the opening prayer to be led by Mr. Rodney De Leon.
May I invite everyone to please stand and let us all remember that we are in the most holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen. The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary, and she conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Behold the handmaid of the Lord. Done unto me according to your word. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. And the Word was made flesh. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God. Let us pray. Pour forth to beseech thee, O Lord, thy grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ your Son was made known by the message of an angel, may, by his passion and cross, be brought to the glory of his resurrection. Through the same Christ our Lord. Amen. Heavenly Father, we praise and glorify you for gathering us in this event. We thank you for this opportunity to have this competition. We ask for the guidance of all participants, that they may be able to articulate their moral positions clearly and successfully. We pray as well for our protection from all evil, and that may all the technologies we are using in this event work well, smoothly, and successfully for your glory. Most importantly, may this competition inspire all of us, students, faculty, and staff, to seek the truth, to desire and choose what is right, what is good, beautiful, and true, all of which we can only find ultimately in you, our ultimate end. Teach us all to become courageous defenders and proclaimers of truth and justice as members of the Lasallian Benildean community. And may we ourselves be the change we want to see and truly live moral lives pleasing to you. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Our Lasallian prayer. I'll continue, my God, do all my actions for the love of you. Our Lady of the Star, pray for us. Saint John Baptist de La Salle, Saint Benilde Mansion, live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Magiliw, kaya sa silangan, nalalam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi. Sa dagat at mundong sisimuyan, sa langit mamahal, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdininig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng luwal, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pag-may mga aking, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Kindly take your seat. Whether you're here to compete, to learn, or simply to cheer up on your friends and classmates, we're all here for the same reason: to engage in a lively discourse, to witness the clash of some of the brightest minds in our school, and of course, to have some fun in the process. To do so and to maintain order during the event, we have a couple of netiquette reminders for everyone. For participants here in the Zoom, please keep your cameras off, and your mics on mute during the event. Kindly refrain from being disruptive in the chat. Feel free to use the chat reactions to root for the teams. Those on the YouTube live streaming can place your reactions and comment and cheers on the comment section.
For contestants here on site, please make sure to modulate your voice and use the microphones properly so that everyone, both on site and online, can hear you clearly. Kindly be mindful of the time so that we can keep the tournament running on schedule. If any contestant is unable to attend or speak, the fourth member of the team must be ready to speak on their behalf. Moving on to the next part of this program, let us give our full attention to the chairperson of the SMS Teofilo area, Assistant Professor Carl Salvador, for his opening remarks. Please.
Thank you. Can we say to your person beside you, thank you for your presence. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this year's this is already our 8th Benildean Ethics Ball. So today we gather not simply to compete, but to reflect, to reason, and engage in a meaningful dialogue about the ethical challenges that shape our world. This Ethics Ball is more than just a contest. It is a celebration of critical thinking, respect, and the use of our moral imagination. Here, we listen deeply, think carefully, and speak responsibly. Through this experience, I'm sure all of us, we are reminded that ethics is not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions with the right principles. Questions that lead us toward understanding, compassion, and justice. To our participants, thank you for your preparation and your courage to share your insights. To our dear judges, coaches, and organizers, thank you for your dedication and guidance. And to everyone present here on site, and to all our watching via Zoom and YouTube live streaming, thank you for joining us in this pursuit of truth and integrity. May today's dialogue inspires all of us to act more ethically in our schools, our communities, and our day-to-day living. Once again, welcome to the 8th Benildean Ethics Ball, where minds meet and values take center stage. Magandang hapon po.
Thank you, Sir Carl, for such an encouraging and inspiring thoughts. To give you an idea, the 8th Benildean Ethics Bowl competition is a public speaking competition that allows Benildean students to speak their minds and offer ethical insights, reflections, and solutions on pressing and relevant existential, social, and even political dilemmas with spontaneity, with substance, sensibility, and teamwork under time pressure.
At the end of this activity, the students are able to identify the ethical issues emanating from ordinary human situations, make ethical decisions by appropriating applicable principles, and lastly, coherently and clearly articulate their ethical justification. To give you a cluster profile for iEthics, we have 21 classes all in all. We have 11 faculty members, and now we're going to have 5 clusters who will compete today.
Before we proceed to the competition proper, allow us to read the rules and mechanics of this competition.
we're still waiting for the AI to generate the mechanics. Let's wait for a while.
Ethics for the current term of SY 2025 to 2026. 2. The competing groups have been given the list of cases prior to the final round. 3. The participants for the final round shall be the ones representing the 5 clusters of teachers. Thus, we have 5 groups or clusters of 4 students each. All the 4 of them can be speakers, though they may opt to have only 3. And the other one will be a backup participant in the event one could not make it. 4. Before the competition proper, all the groups will be sent to the holding room. 5. The sequence and case assignment will only be announced when it's the group's turn to present. Each group is given 2 minutes to confer with each other after the moderators present the case in the plenary. 6. After conferring, the group will present their moral evaluation and discussion of the case within 5 minutes, to be followed by an interpellation by a designated judge for another 5 minutes. 7. The whole procedure is repeated for all participating teams. 8. The judges shall determine the score for each team according to the competition criteria. 9. Finally, after the deliberation is done, the winning teams shall be announced. The decision of the Board of Judges shall be final.
2.1 Ethical relevance, 30%. Has the team remained consistent with their arguments and avoided some irrelevant concepts and elucidations on the issue at hand? Has the team successfully defended their answers without disfiguring relevant details about the given case? 2.2 Clarity and intelligibility, 20%. Has the team stated and defended its position in a way that is logically consistent and which allows the judges to understand clearly the team's line of reasoning, thus avoiding the use of fallacies? 2.3 Deliberative thoughtfulness, 20%. Does the team's presentation of its position on the case indicate thoughtful consideration of different viewpoints, especially the reasoning of individuals who might disagree with the team's position? 2.4 Depth and substance, 20%. Has the team identified and discussed coherently the essential factors and perspectives in the case at hand? 2.5 Team spirit, 10%. Was each member of the team able to speak substantially in coherence with the ethical stand of the group?
Also, note that in case of a tie, the team with a higher ethical relevance score will be given credit.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, students, the mechanics and the criteria for judgment. We now go to the introduction of our members of the Board of Judges. Let me introduce you the members of the Board of Judges who will help us ensure the selection of the most deserved speakers.
The chair of the esteemed Board of Judges is Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC. Brother Michael Magsaysay Valenzuela, FSC, is a Filipino de La Salle brother and educator, known for his service and contributions to the La Sallian community in the Philippines. He is a descendant of President Ramon Magsaysay, being a son of Mila Magsaysay Valenzuela and Cesar Infante Valenzuela. He earned recognition for his religious vocation, scholarship, and involvement in various educational and social projects through the De La Salle network. He finished his primary and secondary education from the De La Salle Green Hills. For his tertiary studies, he took up AB English Comparative Literature from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He later earned his Master of Arts in Religious Studies from Mary Hill School of Theology and completed his PhD Theology in Religious Education at the Loyola School of Theology at the Ateneo de Manila University. He is currently the institutional La Sallian animator of the La Salle College of St. Benilde, Manila. and has been Lasallian brother for more than 30 years. Brother Mike has served the Global Institute through his work on the commission that revised the rule of the brothers, and more recently, as a member of the International Commission on Evangelization, he writes and speaks widely on Lasallian spirituality, story, and service learning. As a De La Salle brother, he has dedicated his life and career to Catholic education and community service in the Philippines. His professional journey is marked by active involvement in Lasallian institutions, emphasizing character development, values education, and public service. As part of the esteemed Magsaysay family, his work also resonates with their long-standing family tradition of educational excellence and civic engagement. Let us welcome the head of our panel of judges, Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC, PhD.
Our next member of the Board of Judges is Assistant Professor Sheila May Sabalburo. Sheila May M. Sabalburo is a senior faculty member of the School of Diplomacy and Governance at the De La Salle College of St. Benilde. She finished her Master in Public Policy degree at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy at the National University of Singapore, and her Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration degree at the University of the Philippines, magna cum laude. Teaching has always been her love, as she shared her career in the academe as a part-time faculty of DLS-CSB in 2019. Before joining the academe full-time in 2022, she was a public servant working at the Office of the President, primarily a presidential management staff. She served 4 Philippine presidents during her 13 years in the government, with stints in policymaking, monitoring and facilitation, environmental scanning, organizational development, human resource development, and presidential engagement management. Her interests are in public administration, public policy, public management, and governance. When not wearing her professional hat, she and her husband love to travel around the world and are doing bunny parents to Chowie, a 4-year-old New Zealand rabbit. Let us give a round of applause to Assistant Professor Sheila May Sabalburo.
Joining our esteemed Board of Judges is Mr. Riel Palmario. Mr. Palmario completed his primary and secondary education at Potrero Elementary School and Potrero National High School, respectively. He earned his bachelor's degree in philosophy from San Carlos Seminary and his master's in theology, major in pastoral ministry, from the San Carlos Graduate School of Theology. He has served in various academic and pastoral roles, including basic education teacher at San Lorenzo Center of Studies and School, pastoral coordinator at Saints Peter and John Parish in Potrero, Malabon City, and finance coordinator at Radio Veritas radio station. He also taught religious education courses at Adamson University from 2019 to 2023. Currently, he is a lecturer in the theology and philosophy area of the School of Multidisciplinary Studies at De La Salle College of St. Benilde, Manila, where he continues to share his expertise and passion for theological and philosophical. Let us welcome Mr. Riel Palmario.
Thank you, esteemed Board of Judges. At this juncture, may we request all groups to be sent to the holding rooms. Their room assignment corresponds to their group number. Please note as well that the sequence and case assignment will only be announced when it is the group turns to present.
So each is given 2 minutes to confer with each other in their respective room while we present the case in the plenary. Afterward, they will present their moral evaluation and discussion of the case within 5 minutes, followed by a 5-minute interpellation from a designated judge. If everyone is ready, we can formally begin the competition. At this point, we may request all groups to step out and proceed to their assigned room.
Our participant seems to be very excited. Okay. Now we wait for the first group. So on the board, we have the final round of cases. Case 3, bribery and corruption. Case 5, torn between truth and peace. Case 11, from protest to prejudice, art, activism, and the gaze of society.
Case 13, the U.S. War on Terrorism. Case 15, Justice and Utang na Loob. And Case 16, Productivity, Achievement, Burnout, and Social Media.
Okay, first presenter. Cluster 3. Cluster 3 and the assigned case is case 3.
So the students were trained by our esteemed faculty members to prepare for their case analysis of these cases. Truly a battle of wits and demonstration of their philosophical and moral wisdom.
You are employed in the public service. During the course of your regular duties, you inadvertently receive an email that was not intended for you. Upon reviewing the message, you find its contents suspicious. The email thread appears to imply that a politician may be accepting bribes in exchange for granting a particular business preferential treatment in the awarding of government contracts. This would constitute a serious act of corruption. Concerned, you report the matter to your immediate supervisor. However, your supervisor advises you not to discuss the email with anyone, warning that sharing information not meant for you could lead to disciplinary action or dismissal. She also cautions that the politician involved could retaliate and make your professional life extremely difficult. Despite her warning, you remain troubled by the apparent misconduct. You consider the possibility of disclosing the email to a journalist friend who could expose the issue to the public. Yet, you also question the authenticity of the emails and wonder whether they might be part of a political smear campaign rather than evidence of genuine corruption.
You have 2 minutes to confer. You may now present your case. The floor is yours.
Okay, first we start with reviewing the facts of the case. The employee is a government employee who starts to receive an email containing information about preferential treatment about businesses. This could this could count as corruption. Now, they consider disclosing they tell their supervisor about this information. However, they are warned that this is a violation and may result in retaliation. They consider sending the email to their journalist friend. However, they are also unsure if this information is truly factual or just part of a political smear campaign.
For our ethical dilemma, would she follow her supervisor's warning or become a whistleblower to her journalist friend? So our stand is to report, but first investigate the email if it's true or not. To the inner channels, then report it to the proper authorities to be able to deal with it.
Good afternoon, mga kapatid. I am Ryan. So I will be introducing the ethical principles that we will posit for this case. So our first and most important culmination of ethical principles is Confucianism and Mencius, which also follows deontology and virtue ethics, but in a rather Eastern perspective. Now, I will emphasize the 5 virtues of Confucianism, but I will most importantly rather point out the most important one that is motivated, by the employee in this case, which is yi, righteousness and obligation. So this virtue cites and posits the moral motivation to do good under your name and duty. Now, as the employee, they have served the public as a public servant, and this incites them and even obliges them to follow this moral responsibility to expose and also verify, more importantly, the email content sent by the political smear campaign or anything of malicious manner. And I would also like to emphasize the mandate of heaven, which is also reinforced by Confucian ethics. This emphasizes the dynamic and importance between the leading power and the people who are ruled. Now, in this case, the employee, the public servant, is the one who is ruled by their supervisor. Now, if the supervisor takes extra measures in order to oppress the servant from further investigation, now keyword on investigation, because we would want to investigate this case first before we expose or even whistleblow in worst case scenario. So the mandate of heaven, is a very important ethical principle that the employee must consider upon further action. Thank you. I would like to lead the floor to Sophie.
So to conclude, this is a dilemma between moral courage versus institutional fear. And in accordance to the Public Service Code, we should therefore proceed to report our findings in alignment to the general Confucian ethics and mandate of heaven. Through proper investigation, reaching out of proper channels, and verifying the email, we could ensure that we still carry out our moral obligation despite going against authorities, specifically our supervisor, as we also uphold our moral duty to what the role of our job, which is public servant. Therefore, our duty to serve the public, especially with this truth despite uncertainties, is our first and foremost moral obligation. Thank you.
Sorry, judges. Just to finally conclude our stance and just to also emphasize on the Confucianism and Mencius stance that our group takes, or rather cluster, I would also like to emphasize to everyone in this auditorium to please also implement this in our life, especially now that we are growing to become workers of the public, not just this employee in the scenario. So I would like to call upon everyone in this room to please consider and be critical. Thank you.
Are we...
All right. We now proceed to the interpellation. The judge who will scrutinize the group's case presentation is Brother Michael Valenzuela.
Could you restate the what is the ethical dilemma here?
Would she follow her supervisor's warning or become a whistleblower to her journalist friend?
What are the values at stake there?
So the values at stake, as we stated, is a dilemma between moral courage despite the uncertainty of the truth, as we cannot verify if it is really a form of corruption, or it could be a part of a political smear campaign, as the case stated, or it versus institutional fear, in which we comply with what our supervisor advises, which is to stay silent, despite knowing that the email, even if uncertain, implies that it constitutes as a form of corruption.
Okay, so you're saying that the ethical dilemma is one between moral courage and institutional fear. My question is, but you're also saying you're not sure whether it's actually whether facts are actually true or not. Doesn't that mean that your ethical dilemma is actually one that has to do with verifying or not verifying?
That is also why we emphasize po that it is an investigation, because we want to send it off to the proper channels, such as like through an internal investigation, to first prove whether the email, the contents of that email, are truly factual or not.
The point I'm trying to make is, aren't there actually two problems here?
Yes po.
And the two problems are?
The moral courage versus institutional fear, and also the verification
Okay.
of the email.
If you don't verify, then what particular principle are you violating?
Okay. So the particular principle we are violating is none, sir. Because I would like to affirm that investigating doesn't necessarily mean exposing
Yeah,
this.
correct.
Yeah, yes.
But in other words, if you don't investigate, then basically aren't you participating materially in a possible wrongdoing? One. And if you don't investigate, isn't this a violation of prudence, which in virtue ethics is actually very important? Because if you, for example, make the accusations without investigating, then you're being unjust, right?
Sir, that is only in the scenario once the email contents are verified.
Right. And my point is, what if you don't verify, what principle is being violated here? And you say none. But actually, this violates a number: non-maleficence, right? Do no harm. It goes against the category. It goes against the principle of prudence also, right? And if it's imprudent, it also becomes unjust. Another point is this: you mentioned about the mandate of heaven. Could you explain that a little more?
Sir, when it comes to the mandate of heaven in this scenario, the mandate of heaven comes into play when the supervisor takes extra measures, when investigative efforts are being appealed to the higher channels of the workplace that the
So who
public
holds the
servant is.
mandate of heaven here?
The one who owns the mandate of heaven is the one who owns the mandate of heaven is the one also responsible for
And in this case, who is that?
the supervisor.
So the mandate of heaven, the supervisor has the mandate of heaven, and you're arguing that you should not go against the mandate of heaven.
No, we are arguing that the mandate of heaven will take place once there is an observed inequality of virtue that is observed between the relationship of the supervisor and the public servant.
Okay, could you explain that a little more?
Sir, what would you like to know?
I'd like to know whether you're saying that the supervisor has the mandate of heaven and therefore to act against the wishes of the supervisor, as I understand it, means to act against the mandate of heaven. So are you recommending that the person act against the mandate of heaven?
Sir, the public servant, do you
Yeah.
mean? The public servant will only act against this mandate of heaven once his security is breached by the supervisor, when they're acting upon goodwill and morality to investigate this potential political corruption that is presented to him.
So what is the relevance of the mandate of heaven here? Because the mandate of heaven basically comes down to authority, right? The authority held by the supervisor. And you're saying it's a matter of moral courage versus institutional fear. Institutional fear of the power of the supervisor versus moral courage. And I can agree to that, but at the same time, I'm just saying there's a prior problem here, which has to do with verification, which to my mind is the actual problem, because if you can't verify, you can't act, right? In other words, my question is, isn't the actual dilemma not about moral courage versus moral at this point, but first about whether one should act prudently by verifying facts or not act prudently and just going by one's feeling of zeal for what is righteousness?
Sir, apologies. Would you repeat that kindly?
So what I'm saying is, isn't it possible that the main dilemma has nothing to do with moral courage versus institutional fear, but rather the main dilemma has to do with verifying or not verifying the truth? Because you can't get into the question of moral courage if there's no versus institutional fear, unless first of all there is an attempt to verify or not verify, which is a matter of prudence and justice, right? If you want to be just, then you have to be prudent in basically identifying whether the facts are right. Otherwise, you'd be making an unjust accusation. So my point, therefore, is, and I'm not disagreeing with moral courage versus, I'm just saying that maybe one of the things that you need to look at is the prior fact that verifying or not verifying actually constitutes the principal ethical dilemma.
Although I agree po, it's also why we have said that we wanted to pass it through like viable channels to get investigated first, because we're also aware that we cannot make a proper decision of revealing it unless we verify it. But that is also our job as a public servant to get that verified.
So you're saying that one of the things that should be done is that the public servant should actually verify this first, because that is the fair, just thing to do.
Because, sir, it is also an attempt to clear out, and it is also an attempt to be able to verify and put emphasis on verify, because this is not on behalf that verifying becomes the ethical issue at hand, but rather it is also the security as well as the willingness of the employee to be able to act upon this potential case of corruption.
To add, we also want to reinforce that we also focus on the duty that one must carry out based on the role that our job implies, which is service to the public. So, in a sense, the fact that we were given this inadvertently even though we don't know who it came from, and even if we can't verify, it is still worth questioning as a public servant. As
By
a
what
public
principle?
To deontology, specifically the duty as a public servant over.
Well, deontologically, you could also say that one must obey one's superiors, or one should not disclose information that, you know. So, what particular deontological principle? Because deontological principles basically are about categorical imperatives, right? They're about rules that are exceptionless. What is the exceptionless rule in this case?
First, we believe that yes, in the categorical imperative, there is the universal rule that one must follow the maxim, and in this role, their maxim is the role which implies by their job just a public servant, and as a public servant.
Okay, thank you. But
you.
good job.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Presenter number 1. Thank you, Brother Mike. Nagsisimula ng uminit yung hall. Next up, we have presenter number 2. So, second presenter, we have cluster 5, and they are assigned to case number 11.
At a massive anti-corruption rally in Rizal Park in September 2025, young protester and student artist Natalie Julia Heralde took to the stage with an original protest song denouncing corruption and social injustice. Her performance, charged with conviction and youthful idealism, was meant to stir civic awareness and awaken moral accountability. But instead of engaging with her message, many social media users turned their gaze elsewhere, her dark underarms. In an instant, a call for integrity and reform was eclipsed by online mockery. What could have sparked dialogue on conscience and corruption instead became another episode in the country's endless cycle of viral distraction. Natalie refused to be silenced. She pushed back, declaring that her body and its natural features should not be judged by the narrow beauty standards inherited from patriarchal and colonial thinking. Her defiance transformed ridicule into reflection, forcing the public to confront how women, especially young artists who dare to speak truth to power, are still measured against cosmetic ideals before their words are even heard. The artists' collective sinning Tinta joined her defense, condemning the backlash as proof of a state-imposed capitalist aesthetic that commodifies women's bodies while dulling civic thought. They urged educators and media leaders to reclaim the moral center of public discourse to move attention from appearance to ideas, from ridicule to responsibility.
You have 2 minutes to prepare your presentation. 2 minutes is over. You may now present your case.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, panelists. Actions speak louder than words, but words can be used as actions as well. We can use it to speak, to write, to read, or to read aloud. When you do these things, you are using words as actions. So when you ridicule or mock others, your actions, it speaks as to what kind of person you are. So as the case with Natalie, rather than the public, rather than engage with each other to talk about her message on corruption and everything that's happening in our country, no, they mock her, they ridicule her. But rather than staying silent and rather than staying silent as akin to the people before her, the feminists before her, she fought back. Rather than it being about her, it's about making the public reflect upon, our perceptions on women and, their bodies and their natural selves. To introduce the concept of feminism, it's not just about the privileges that the patriarchal man has, or historically speaking, and the disadvantages that women have. It's also about how we view gender, that maintains this kind of social oppressive order that harms others, like Natalie. So that's what we'll be tackling. That's what my compatriots will be tackling.
So for our point one, instead of listening to what the woman Natalie is saying, they highlighted and focused to what her body, or specifically her underarm looks like. Well, to be honest, if a man is raising his arms with hair on it, nobody would care. Nobody would make a big deal out of it. That's our point one.
Good morning, panelists. So we invoke feminist ethics in this case because what happened to Natalie has been happening to our society even before now, until now. And it is more intense than more on women than men. The people bashed her dark underarms instead of focusing on what she is saying in the protest, and what her presence means in that protest. So
okay, thank you for that. So good morning, panelists. Good morning, everyone. So basically, we use feminist ethics for our argument. So our entire cluster is arguing on the basis that since everyone focused on Natalie's body, that automatically means Natalie in our patriarchal and misogynistic society is automatically dehumanized, which disregards her thoughts on corruption and derails the entire conversation. And these patriarchal beauty standards, they are entirely based off of Eurocentric beauty standards. So fair skin, poreless skin, white features, which as a result dehumanizes, or rather, what's the word? It kind of puts aside or isolates natural parts of the human body. So yun nga, dark armpits and body hair. So those features are now considered barbaric compared to the Eurocentric standards, which speaks to a wide cultural problem of how misogyny reeks through everyday interactions. And this is one of the many ways that it manifests. So since people are so hyper-focused and hyper-aware of how women's bodies look, as a result, they are automatically dehumanized. And as a result, Eurocentric features are deemed superior. And so instead of using that, so instead of being silenced because of that, it's good that Natalie used that opportunity to fight back and call out a much bigger issue that is also prevalent. And that is our case. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Let us proceed to the interpellation. The judge who will scrutinize the group's case presentation is Assistant Professor Sheila May Sababuro.
Okay, so congratulations for the arguments that you put forward. So my question first is, can you clarify what's your main ethical dilemma in this case? Go ahead.
Um, it's not really for us. There isn't necessarily a dilemma. It's just that we have this stance that Natalie was right to speak against it. That to point out that all of these things that all of the things that the public did to her, that the things that they said about her natural body is that it's that rather than, as I said earlier, engage in political discourse, no, they focus on her body, which is a little oppressive because there are much more important things to talk about rather than just a person's body. And not only that, because of that, because of them ridiculing her, it also just shows a much bigger problem of how we view like women and their bodies, right? Because like as my compatriots said that like as my compatriots, yeah, it's derogatory and it's dehumanizing. Thank you. And like yeah.
Okay, so I surmise that you agree with what she did after the incident, right? Would you do otherwise, or is there anything else that you would do otherwise, or you would add to what she already did about her issue, the issue that she was facing during that time?
I think what Natalie did is very right. First, with the help of the protests, she speak her thoughts about what's happening in our society and our politics right now. But what the backlash that she got, there's also a silver lining on that, or an opportunity for her to address that. Yeah, she got bashed because of her underarm. She also addressed what women are still facing now, which is still about their body, about what women looks. First of all, having dark underarms is very normal. And if in my perspective, if a man speaked up with that during the protest instead of Natalie, and they saw a hairy and muscular arms, people would find it hot. So I think, yeah, it's still pag babae yung lagi na lang na gaganon sa mga situation. So I think it's a opportunity for Natalie to address what's happening still in our society, and address the backlash and the problems that women are still facing.
Okay, so I also want to pick your mind on what do you think, because it all started with an anti-corruption rally, right? She was espousing on a different issue altogether. But because of the public backlash that she got on how she looks, the story pivoted into something different, and you said that it was an opportunity as well to raise issue related to how we see other people. But what do you think about her issue, or the issue of how she looks being overshadowing or arising another issue, which is, in the first place, it was anti-corruption issue, but now we don't talk about it anymore, and then we talk about what happened to her. So what do you think about it?
Okay, so this speaks to a larger problem on misogyny in general. So for as long as we know, and ever since we were children, actually, we've been constantly exposed to the quote unquote ideal beauty features or like body standards. So thin, petite, poreless, no dark spots, hairless. So and because we've grown up with these preconceived notions of beauty, we've developed internal biases as to what the ideal woman should look like. And since Natalie, for lack of a better word, it does not fit those standards, she is automatically scrutinized. So what does that mean if she is automatically scrutinized? First of all, because because of how the entire conversation has derailed from corruption to her bodily features. So first of all, her thoughts and opinions are automatically disregarded just because of how she looks, which is already a relevant problem in today's society, and which also reinforces the notion that, oh, women have to look a specific way in order for their thoughts to be validated. But even if they do look a specific way, they're still dehumanized. So it's a lose-lose situation for us, which is why it's good that Natalie uses this opportunity to also call out on the misogynistic tendencies of society. So that's our view on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
To add to my what my group had said, these biases that's attacking women comes from our own home, which is our parents. That it's harsher on parents who have a daughter, because those biases also got instilled to their parents na yun nga, pag maitim or katamtaman ng kulay ng isang tao, hindi siya accepted here sa Philippines. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Presenter 2. Next up, presenter number 3. Okay, kindly please call for the third presenter, Cluster 1, and they are assigned to Cluster a case 16.
Carlo is a 20-year-old Filipino college student on a full scholarship at a top university in Manila. Coming from a low-income family, he feels enormous pressure to give back and secure a successful future. His parents always say, "Pagbutihin mo, ikaw lang ang pag-asa namin." Do your best, you are our only hope. Inspired by motivational influencers and mantras such as "no pain, no gain," "hustle now, relax later," #achievement goals, Carlo builds a demanding schedule like 18 academic units, 2 part-time online jobs, and an active student leader in 3 various school organizations. On social media, he posts inspirational content to maintain his image as someone who has it all together. Many classmates, friends, and relatives admire him. Some even feel inferior compared to his productivity posts. However, privately, Carlo suffers from constant migraines and panic attacks, sleep deprivation, guilt whenever he rests, and fear of being labeled weak or not enough. He refuses to seek help because he thinks burnout is just a challenge to overcome. He internalizes the belief that self-exploitation is empowerment, where the individual becomes both the master and the slave, exploiting oneself for success. One day, Carlo collapses on campus. When the student organization tries to implement mental health safeguards, he resists, fearing it would validate what he sees as excuses for the lazy later. The school plans to feature him as a poster model for resilience and achievement. He must decide whether to continue projecting an image of unstoppable success, which might mislead others into self-harmful expectations, or to reveal the truth of his burnout and struggles, risking distasteful judgments from others, especially those who admire him greatly.
Presenter 3, you may now begin your case presentation.
Okay, so good morning everyone and good afternoon to our esteemed judges. So we are from the cluster 1 and we will be discussing the case of Carlos and his productivity achievement burnout in social media. So in this case, we can see that Carlos is struggling whether he should agree in posting his self for the image of the other students, or would he reveal his struggles in able to prevent further harm. So after thorough discussion with my group members, we agreed that he should reveal his struggles. And we will be using the consequentialism in able to provide support in our claims for this case.
So if we look at the benefits of whether or not Carlos should be honest about his image in social media, it is still possible to maintain a good online image while being honest and true to your authentic self. And also, being honest about it would destigmatize mental health, which, as we list the benefits of being honest, the benefits would outweigh the negatives if we look at it from a consequentialist lens.
And if Carlo is to agree to be the poster model for the resilience poster, while he will be able to preserve his image of being this relentlessly resilient person, this overachiever, if you will, it puts the harm to the students of the community who will come across the poster. Because in a way, it glorifies this culture of toxic resilience, if you will, and that encourages greatly this culture of self-exploitation and whatnot. And if you come across that post, it's only natural to be encouraged to follow the same unsustainable behavior. And in a way, it perpetuates mental health stigma. And I guess to put it simply, even if the intent is to inspire, it will bring harm to the people who will come across it because of the rather toxic ideals that is being presented by the idea of resilience that Carlo is modeling.
So to sum it all up, what we're trying to say here as a group is that if Carlos agrees to be the poster example of resilience, he successfully conceals his struggles as a student, but this promotes negative norms in society. Whereas if he is to promote honest public acknowledgement, this produces positive consequences like sustainable resilience, like awareness, and like the stigmatization of mental health. And therefore, we are producing a more humane society in the process.
You still have 1 minute and 40 seconds. All right. Let's proceed to the interpellation. The judge who will scrutinize the group's case presentation is Mr. Riel Palmario.
Good afternoon. It seems that the students are already nervous. You were nervous, no? You keep on greeting us good morning. It's already afternoon, no? Okay. Okay, my first question is, how are you today? Good, because I'm afraid you might end up like the agent in this case, no, Carlo, no? Okay. Now, you mentioned about consequentialism. What are the other ethical theories that you could use to solve the problem of Carlo?
One might argue na care ethics might come in conflict with consequentialism, but in a way, I think this can be seen from a perspective that says that because Carlo he feels compelled to be this relentlessly resilient student, this overachiever, with keeping in mind his family and a status na he has to keep up with. However, it is important to note that he has the duty to care for himself. And I think the problem that, for the most part, arises from this specific scenario is that it enables this culture of self-exploitation. And for students like Carlos, they often lose sight of the value of taking care of themselves. And this is very harmful. And if you are to, again, go back to the consequentialist perspective, if you try to see how this could affect the people who might be inspired to follow this type of mentality, then it just undermines your, it undermines the fact that humans, we're made of flesh and blood. We get tired, we have limits. And so these weaknesses don't necessarily make us weak. That sounds a bit ironic. However, I guess what I'm just trying to say is that let those limits not undermine your strengths. As I think it is possible to uphold an idea of resilience that is mindful of one's limits, an idea of resilience that is mindful of your health, your wellness. And I think, yeah, I would like to ask my group mates if they would have anything else to add to that.
Okay, sir. Addressing your question, sir, I have another theory that I can apply in this situation that will support our claim. So I believe I can use the rule utilitarianism in this situation, meaning that the school wants Carlos to be posted on the poster, but we all know that behind that bright image of his, there is a lot of struggles, and we believe that it will be bad to post that poster because other students will think that, oh, it's okay to be tired, it's okay to be exhausted. Oh, sorry. It's okay to be exhausted just to be posted or to brag this award. So in rule utilitarianisms, I believe that it shouldn't be applied because it's not morally correct that you should be exhausted, you should be tired, and you should that you will be glorified in that way how you achieve your goals.
To add on to the consequentialist argument, but there is a specific type of consequentialist argument that would be called plain consequentialism, which is to act on the decision that produces the greatest consequence. So in this stigmatizing mental health awareness and to essentially and to not promote burnout amongst students, the students around him, considering that Carlos does have an online following and has a voice amongst his peers, amongst his fellow students, in bringing a message that would promote mental health and to not promote burnout would essentially produce the greatest outcome or the greatest consequence according to plain consequentialism.
And there's also the matter of virtue ethics, which is the golden rule here, is being a responsible student, practicing prudence, temperament, and honesty. So in this case, Carlos is having the vice of excess. So this is the fact that he does upload his responsibility as a student, but he should not be doing this at the expense of his health. So yun.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, presenter number 3. Next up, presenter number 4. The fourth presenter is from cluster 4, and they are assigned to case number 15.
Angel, a college education student taking up a course on ethics from a state university in Manila, lives with her parents and uncle, a barangay official who took them in when they were financially broken. Her uncle paid for her tuition, covered her monthly allowance and school expenses, helped her father get medical treatment, and even provided groceries when they had nothing. Her parents constantly remind her, "Kung wala si Uncle mo, saan tayo pupulutin? If it were not for your uncle, where would we be now? Tandaan mo, may utang na loob tayo sa kanya. Remember, we owe him a deep debt of gratitude. Kahit anong mangyari, huwag kang makakalimot na tulungan siya kapag siya naman ay humingi ng tulong sa atin. No matter what happens, never forget to help him when he needs one from us." One day at home, while she was cleaning the living room, she saw her uncle's phone on the table, lit up with messages, which accidentally showed lists of voters and cash distributions, and messages such as, "Siguraduhin ninyong sa atin sila boboto. Make sure they will vote for us. May kapalit lahat ng tulong natin. All our help comes with something in return." She realized her uncle is deeply involved in vote buying and political coercion, the same system she criticizes in her social science, theology, and ethics classes as a barrier to justice and true democracy.
You have 2 minutes to prepare your presentation.
We use attendance ethics, which is yung most important, don't get swayed by that. Don't get swayed by the last paragraph. Sinabi na, she's expert. Parang sinasabi na she's really into ethics. No, huwag kayo may swayed just because she's into ethics. It means that she must do something. Or not she. Yeah. That's not the most logical way to approach this. It's parang content sense. Actually, less than we're just making fun. So hindi wala siyang heads. We're doing something that talking to you first convince and convince. Also, it's not they don't have the same intention. This content ethics
You may now present your case.
So for this case, we as a group would like to say that that the uncle obviously is already in the wrong because corruption, and we can apply Kantian ethics
mainly categorical imperative one, as lying itself, corruption, is already bad, and the fact that the uncle is doing vote buying is um, also bad in its way, and it's a form of lying. And if we're going to apply um, like of what Immanuel Kant said, lying, regardless of intention, is bad in itself. And if despite even though the uncle has like a even though he's like unofficial.
So, corruption is very, very, very bad in its very essence. Okay, and it doesn't mean that there's a virtue of utang na loob in the case. Angela will not do anything about it. I think the best way for Angela to handle it is to talk to her uncle first. That's the best way, because it wasn't stated in the case that she has evidence. It's just stated that Angela saw a text message. Therefore, doing something rush, like, let's say, saying it to a journalist or leaking that information, you don't have enough evidence. Therefore, don't have enough evidence. Saying that your uncle is corrupt is not credible enough. You need evidence. So we would like to criticize more the uncle, because there's no, yes, I mean, we criticized the uncle already. Now we criticize the parent. The parent is inflicting to Angela that the uncle is very important. So therefore, if the uncle is very important to us, we can't lose this uncle. But that's the thing. Using utilitarianism, the very best way is to actually reveal the corruption. That's the very best way. But if the corruption were revealed, there's a high probability or chance that Angel and their family, they will lose everything, probably everything, because based on the case, the uncle was the provider, the medical treatment of the father, the one who provides education for Angel, even groceries. So it's evident that the uncle is very important in their life, but it wasn't stated that how the importance of the uncle as the politician. So we can't verify we can't verify if the uncle is actually a good politician. It wasn't stated that she done good things to have whatever place he is in or is a politician in. So yeah, that's our.
And also, I would like to bring forth we'd also like to bring up the concept of categorical imperative too. So basically, what we thought, the uncle is using the concept of utang na loob as a mean, because like he is using that concept to make people and at some point to like be obligated to give back to him, because like we all know the concept of utang na loob is to like parang not to expect anything back, but it should like come from the heart. So,
let's conclude our presentation.
All right, thank you. Let us proceed to the interpellation. The judge who will scrutinize the group's case presentation is Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC. Brother.
Hello. So thank you for your effort. My first question is, in this particular case, who is the moral agent? In other words, who is the person who is faced with the moral dilemma? Whose problem is this? In other words, because you've talked about the uncle a lot. So whose problem actually is this?
we think the one that has the dilemma is Angel.
Okay.
Because
What is her dilemma?
because there's a dilemma going on that she knows that this uncle that actually helped them through a lot is a corrupt. She thought that, oh, this uncle is very good because this uncle helps us, but it's not. The uncle is not good.
So could you tell me what are the conflicting values in this case?
It was stated that she's really into ethics and she's actually into justice and stuff. So it's absurd that she would just let it happen. Now she would just let it happen that her uncle continued the corruption. There's a dilemma now to Angel now. Oh, I'm into justice, I'm into ethics, but like will I just let this happen, this corruption?
So it's justice versus what? Justice versus what?
Justice versus corruption, or justice versus justice versus the uncle itself.
Oh, justice versus the I'm asking the values here. Okay. So I'm Angel, and my parents tell me I have utang na loob to the uncle. So what is the dilemma here? What are your conflicting values?
The problem the problem is the fact that Angel's parents are instilling her utang na loob. Utang na loob is as a virtue. It's very very nice. However, utang na loob, it can be a problem because it's a matter of reciprocity.
Yeah.
And I think it can be abused. In this case, the uncle helps. However, he does vote buying. He expects that to the people that he helped. He expects votes.
Yeah. Okay. But you seem to be shifting the focus to the uncle.
And
but the moral subject
is Angel.
Not the uncle, it's Angel.
Yes.
So the
And
question is,
I
what is the
think-
conflict that she's...
I think the conflict, it goes back to utang na loob, and
Okay.
we can apply golden mean here, to which
Okay.
if Angel, because she's into ethics, she's into like justice, she's into the things that she's into those things, and to which the uncle is like
So
against. And if we can apply golden mean here, because if she doesn't do anything, then she is tolerating it, she's
Yeah.
going against her beliefs, and she goes against it, she encourages corruption.
So it's justice versus utang na loob.
Yes, utang na loob.
All right.
As-
Fine. Yeah. Okay. No. Just clarifying. Okay. You also talked about deontological principles. You're
Yes.
using deontological principles. What particular deontological principle are you using here? What is the categorical imperative or rule that you are following?
Categorical imperative 1, the rule of universality.
Well, yeah, that's the condition. But could you state the maxim or the rule that you are universalizing, that is being universal? What is the universal rule that you are trying to apply here?
That
I feel like the point Chloe's trying to make is that you're universalizing that just because someone is helping you and they did something bad, does that mean that you should turn a blind eye for their benefit?
Okay, except that that's the, when you're saying it that way, you're presenting. It's not a categorical imperative. you- a categorical imperative is an unconditional rule. You're putting a condition, which is if you are in this situation, and that's not a categorical. But there is an unconditional. If you're saying categorical imperative, an unconditional rule, which is it's quite simple. And actually, I think you've said it, but I'd just like to hear it clearly. Do not.
Lying.
Okay,
is
do
lying.
Do not lie. So that's
Yeah, do
that's
not-
the basic rule.
Yes.
Okay. What other? What are the other? What other frameworks can you use besides the ontology here?
We can apply the golden mean here, which is finding the balance of things, because
So justice, finding the balance.
it's like, okay, for the golden mean kasi, it has a utang na loob and golden mean has a sort of correlation to it, because okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Thank you,
Thank you.
presenter 4. Next up, presenter number 5. For our last presenter, cluster 2, and they're assigned to case number 13.
The World Trade Center attack in New York on September 11, 2001, caused the deaths of nearly 3,000 people, and 6,000 were injured. The attackers hijacked commercial airplanes and crashed them into the World Trade Center. The attacks stunned the international community and marked the beginning of the United States' war on terrorism. The U.S. administration identified al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, as responsible for the attacks. According to U.S. intelligence reports, the Taliban regime in Afghanistan was protecting al-Qaeda. In response, the U.S. and its allies invaded Afghanistan by sending military troops to dismantle al-Qaeda's operations, destroy al-Qaeda's camps, and overthrow the Taliban regime. The invasion was seen as a way of deterrence to avoid future terrorist attacks and ensure international security. While the military invasion reached its initial goal of weakening the operations of al-Qaeda and overthrowing the Taliban regime, it also led to civilian casualties, shattered infrastructure, and political and economic instability. Thus, the military invasion raised an ethical question about the use of military force and its human cost.
You have 2 minutes to confer.
Okay.
Presenter 5, you may now present your case.
Blessed afternoon to everyone. Our group decided to delve into the moral issue at hand for the 9/11, whether it is morally permissible for a state to do a full-scale military force, for giving the risk of civilian harm and damage to infrastructure and long-term political and economical instability of Afghanistan versus the duty of the U.S. to protect the citizens, prevent further attacks, and safeguard their nation's national security. And this is all according to Kant's duty ethics, but according to Aristotle's golden mean, it would also be deficient not to do anything at all, but it would be excessive to resort to a full-scale invasion to Afghanistan. But it would be the best option to do a targeted operations to maximize the U.S. resources and to minimize the harm on civilian lives on the Afghan people, and only to target the actual perpetrators, which is the Taliban regime, the Al-Qaeda, and Osama bin Laden, who was told to be responsible for the 9/11 attack. It would reduce the damage to life of the Afghanistan and reduce their damage to infrastructure, and for the U.S. to only identify those who have militant ties and to maximize their resources, but never to fully invade, to continue to further protecting the U.S. duty to safeguard their national security and protect innocent lives, not only their own people but also to the people of Afghanistan.
Okay, so adding up onto what was already explained, the first option is the full-scale invasion on Afghanistan carried out by the U.S. after the 9/11. So the idea was to destroy Al-Qaeda, remove the Taliban, and protect its the U.S. citizens from future attacks. This did have immediate effects, such as the disruption of terrorist camps, overthrowing a regime that was harboring extremists, and also sending a strong message of deterrence. Despite all that, it also caused a lot of civilian harm, disruption, instability on long-term instability of economic and political. Looking at it through the lens of duty ethics, the U.S. had a responsibility to protect its citizens, but they also had a duty to avoid unnecessary harm and act with prudence. So while this invasion did address some security goals, its predictable suffering that it caused also makes this morally questionable. Thank you.
In addition to that, I think one base ethics that we could also use is the is the theological ethics, which is the duty to respect oneself. Under this ethics is the duty to reject dehumanizing treatments, or the mockery treatments. Well, basically, if the U.S. the U.S. invaded the Afghanistan itself, so basically there's ruin from the economy itself of the country or the states, would lead to discrimination of this society. Now, as we all know, Afghanistan is not really the developed country. So by doing this, it will just ruin their economy, their establishments, and many more. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we must always remember that although infrastructure could be rebuilt, historical artifacts, documents couldn't be recovered.
So just to conclude our group, the reaction in defense was legitimate, but a full-on invasion gave predictable human death or casualties was foreseen. There was also destabilization within the nation seen by the war. Another thing to note, the moral principles that we used were one, Aquinas' virtue ethics of prudence, right reason to action, and justice. Another moral principle we followed is Kant's duty ethics. The U.S. was responsible to its citizens but they also have a duty to forgo harm to others. In totality, targeting organizations instead of the whole nation was the right action, but it is morally questionable and not clearly morally permissible.
Let's proceed to the interpellation. The judge who will scrutinize the group's presentation is Assistant Professor Sheila May Sabalbur.
So, congratulations for being able to put forth your arguments on this very timely case, I guess. There's no hard rule on how to answer this case. But I'm curious about the deliberation that happened within your group. So, I already see the direction where you're going at on how would you handle this case if you were in the position of the US government. So, can you briefly discuss, based on your deliberation, how will you handle this case? Would you do the same as what the US did, or are there any differences that you would do? And can you also shed some light on the factors that you will use in your decision-making process?
So in deliberating our tasking and what we would do if we were the US, so as mentioned that we would rather do a targeted operation instead of a full-scale invasion, because as we all know, US has a lot of resources. They can have a lot of network to identify those who have militant ties, but resorting to full-scale invasion can lead to serving self-interest because it would be politically motivated, and we must all remember that full-scale invasion can lead to war and can make Afghanistan as a country with its innocent citizens weak or vulnerable for other countries to invade them and exploit their resources and their lives as people. So morally, it is inherent to do a full-scale attack, but to only focus on the actual responsible, in this case, the Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, and the Taliban regime, and those who have militant ties. But by maximizing the resources of the US, we can only focus on those and not harm further innocent lives.
Anybody who wants to answer?
I think overall, when we were discussing this case, we tried to avoid it, honestly. It's a topic that sheds political views regarding different nations. It also entails war. So when we were tackling this, we really just focused on what facts we can find, what action is morally right instead of our own personal action. And yeah, that's our thought process, I think.
Okay. Are you familiar with the just war theory? Yeah. So based on your familiarity on the theory, do you think the US was able to substantiate their action using that particular theory?
So I have read preliminary about the just war theory. So it's basically saying when to act at the possible or at the right time. So it's basically the theory or the virtue of prudence by only doing the appropriate action at the right time. So the US may can we just say, in our own opinion, that the US took advantage of the terrorist attack to do a full-scale invasion to Afghanistan, but also according to Aristotle's golden mean, we should also give regards to the harm that can be possibly done by doing full-scale war or by using military forces to that will affect innocent lives and regions who did not have any ties to the Taliban regime. So in using the virtue of prudence, it may be the right time, but it was not the right course of action because it would be more morally permissible and more right to only retaliate those who were responsible for the 9/11 attacks.
Do you think that if you would to apply, you say your targeted operation, you would be able to achieve the same results or even more than what the US was able to achieve in its war on terrorism? And how would that happen?
So, with how we see it, the targeted operations would also be a lot slower. So that's one of the cons. It would not generate a more progress in a short period of time, but I think that's one of the fewer sacrifices that has to be made in every political course of action, especially that those actions that concern lives in particular, because we can say that those whose lives are lost in the 9/11, but we also have the duty as the US has the duty to prevent further lives to be lost. So doing a full scale invasion instead of targeted operations did more, which was excessive. But as we mentioned earlier, doing targeted operations was more balanced, and it was the golden mean because it was not excessive nor deficient, but they were able to uphold their rights to protect their citizens and to safeguard their national security.
Okay, so since we have less than a minute, anybody else who wants to give their final thoughts, final words?
Adding to her what she said earlier, I think we wouldn't say na the result will be as the same as what the US did right now, but we believe that it will be much more safe because if we will look now into our status quo, or if we will look now, I think it do more like if we would do this like the invading of selected area lang, I think it will do more good than the harm, just like unlike what the US did, like invading the whole of Afghanistan, because it will be much more safer and lasting killing, and of course the establishments of the economy of the Afghanistan. So yeah.
The reason why we think that it's morally questionable and not clearly morally permissible is because we already stated the harm that was done, and we chose to disregard the other factors that were involved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Presenter 5. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a round of applause to all our participants. Thank you for your beautiful discussions. I'm sure your well-prepared speeches wowed the viewers and the judges. We'll be giving the judges 10 minutes to deliberate, which would also be an opportunity to everyone to take a short break. And while we're having the break, we will be rendered with an intermission number by our music production students, Kirshen Saiver Balahadia for the vocals, Miguel Alonso Camesa for the electric guitar. Let's give the two a round of applause.
Hello. 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 Hi, I'm Cypril and this is Jalon. So we're both ID 124 from the music production program. So just gonna do a little intermission number. Sana hindi pa brain fried yung mga brains nyo. My first... Yes. Kahit ano. Shoutout Daph. Yeah. For my first song, siguro medyo laylo muna tayo. Hope you guys like this one. This is Officially Missing. You will lay around, falling on the rooftop. Oh, baby, let me know you have to go.
Is this pain I feel it will go away? And today I'm officially missing you. I thought that from this heartache I could escape, but I've run it long enough to know there ain't no way. And today I'm officially. Ooh, can't nobody do it like you. Said every little thing you do. Hey baby, stays on my mind. And I'm officially, all I do is lay around. 2 years full of tears from looking at your face on the wall. Just a week ago you were my baby. No, I don't even know you at all. I don't know you at all. Well, I wish that you would call me right now, so that I could get through to you somehow. But I guess it's safe to say, baby, it's safe to say that I'm officially. Ooh, can't nobody do it like you. Said every little thing you do. Hey baby, stays on my mind. And I'm officially missing you. Yes, that was officially missing. Siyempre, warm up lang yun. For my second song, if you guys don't know, I'm an artist, so I have songs out there. So, for my next song, kaka-release ko lang nito. So, this is called Time to Time. You guys can check this out there. Love, di naman sa pag-iwas, pero kailangan ko din ng distansya mula sa'yo. Love, intindihin mo ko, dahil para din naman sa atin to. Di ka mamimiss pag palagi kang kasama. Kailangan mangulila para mahalikan ka ng tama sa aking kama. Di mag-resist pag minsan lang magpumilit. Gusto ko ng tama lang, ayoko ng paulit-ulit. Pero minsan gusto ko you are precious to my life, and I just cannot let you go. It's difficult to say that you and me should have some space from time to time, from time to time, time to time. Talagang hindi mali humingi ng konting space kahit ilang sandali, para madama ko lalo yung tele. Kailangan kong lumayo, maramdaman ko ang hapde. Babalik sa'yo ng sweet, babalikan pag ayoko na. Yoko nang makatikim ng pait na mag-isa, para bang ang palaya, mabait sa umpisa. Oras ang nagpalambot, nagpatamis sa'kin bigla. Di ka mamimiss pag palagi kang kasama. Kailangan mangulila, balikan ka ng tama sa aking kama. Di mag-resist pang minsan lang magpumilit. Gusto ko ng tama lang, ayoko ng paulit-ulit. Pero minsan talagang gusto ko are precious to my life, and I just cannot let you go. It's difficult to say that you and me should have some space from time to time, from time to time, time to time. That was time to time. Actually, hindi siya reggae. But if you guys want to hear the original sound of that, y'all can check it out on Spotify. That's XYVRL Cypher. For my last song, I also released this out on Spotify. Meron din to sa YouTube. I'm actually out there. You guys can follow me anywhere. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Cyprel, XYBRL. So, hot and this next song is hot and cold. Yung feeling mong minsan malamig siya, minsan mainit. Gets, oh my gosh. Minsan may label, minsan wala. Gets nyo ba? Parang hindi mo gets. Ano ba talaga tayo? So, na-inspire ako doon. This is hot and cold. You've been ringing on my line. Say you need me but it happens every time. Kung totoo ang sinasabi mo, mananaw kailan ka hihinto. Aking pinto ay laging nakabukas. Do you even think about all of the love and trust? Di ko nga magawang magsinungaling sa'yo. Sino ba talagang may pakana sa atin? Talagang ako na lang ba ang may pake sa atin? Masakit lang ang bigay sa akin. Lagi ng ganito, ano bang nangyari sa atin? Did you even consider the thought of us together? Hanggang dito na lang ba tayo? Wala bang forever? I can't figure it out cause lies come out your mouth. Hanggang dito na lang ba talaga tayo? Mainit, 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 mainit pagka'y katabi. Pero kahit magkadigir ay laging malamig ang ating gabi. You don't deserve me. Binigay ko sa'yo ang lahat when you were thirsty. It was ever you that, oh baby, wala ka for me. So tell me, sino ba ang totoo sa atin? Cause you so fake ass, babe, don't wanna say your name. Kunin mo na lahat ng gamit mo, I hate your face. But we both love the game, magkatabi ka, babe. We so happy, you so cold to me, I guess that's it. Did you even consider the thought of us together? Hanggang dito na lang ba tayo? Wala bang forever? I can't figure it out cause lies come out your mouth. Hanggang dito na lang ba talaga tayo? Mainit, 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 mainit pagka'y katabi. Pero kahit magkadigir ay laging malamig ang ating gabi. Mainit, 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 mainit pagka'y katabi. Pero kahit magkadigir ay laging malamig ang ating gabi. That was hot and cold. So thank you so much for having us. Good luck, guys. Kaya niyan. Y'all can follow me anywhere. XYBRL Cypher. And Delonso.
All right, so thank you for that delightful performance, Cyvril and Miguel. While waiting for the announcement of winners, may we call on our judges to say a few words.
We now present the certificate. Welcome back, everyone. So we will now present the certificates to our esteemed Board of Judges. May we request our Theology Philosophy Area Chair, Sir Carl, to award the certificate to our esteemed Board of Judges and then to the Ethics Bowl contestants. May I read the citation? Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC, in grateful acknowledgement of being the part of the panel of judges, actually the chair of the Board of Judges, for this 8th Benildean Ethics Bowl with the theme Truth, Justice, and Responsibility in the Changing World, held on November 21, 2025 at the Dewar Auditorium, Taft Campus, De La Salle College of St. Benil, Manila, Philippines, signed by our Dean of School of Multidisciplinary, Dean Jennifer B. Pabla, and our Chairperson of the Theology, Philosophy area, Mr. Carl Salvador.
Our next board of member of the Board of Judges, Ms. Shalome Sabalpuro.
We call on Mr. Riel Palmario. May we hear a few words from our esteemed Board of Judges, Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone who participated. You went through a process of elimination to get where you are, and I think many of the arguments were actually very, very well done. I think the importance of being able to go through a process of moral reasoning is very important. Many times when we act, we normally tend to act on feelings and then think about it later. I think one of the things we have to learn to do about, in response to many of the problems we see around us today, is to actually be reflective, to know why we want to do the things that we do. Many times, good intentions can lead to disastrous consequences if we don't think about the way we do things and the long and short-term effects of the things that we do. So really, this is an exercise in trying to think holistically, in trying to look at how actions affect character, how they affect community, and basically trying to balance the goods and the goods and harms that we see coming out. So I'd like to congratulate everyone for doing that. The only caution I would say is to know what the right thing to do is doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do it. So many times we know many of our politicians are great moral reasoners. That doesn't necessarily mean they're great people. And so moral knowledge is just the first step. Moral character is actually just as important, if not more so. And right now we're testing you for knowledge, but I hope as you get tested in character, as you move on in later life, you'll be able to make the right choices. So thank you.
Thank you, Brother Michael. Very, very important word of wisdom, character formation. May we call on Miss Sheila May, Ma'am Sheila May Sabalburo.
Thank you very much po. So first, congratulations to everybody, to our students first and foremost for undergoing the process, to our SMS professors and associates for mounting this kind of activity, and to everyone who participated in today's activity. So coming from my background, I worked in the public sector for more than a decade. So I've seen a lot of people undergoing moral dilemmas, including myself. So I've been in some of the situations that you guys are probably talking inside the classroom. So for most part, sometimes you don't really undergo the process of moral reasoning anymore. It becomes automatic in you that this is what you're going to do in case you have a certain situation. But my hope is that in classes such as ethics classes, where you are taught of the different theories, principles, and then you have the knowledge on how to best process when you find yourself in a moral dilemma. I hope that it exercises your muscles, your brain muscles, so that in the future, if you are in this situation, it would be second nature for you to think morally, to have those theories and knowledge that you gain through the years of studying, and that you'd be able to apply what should be done, what is morally right, even if others think otherwise. So congratulations again to everyone, and continue your endeavors.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila May Sabalburo. And we may call on Sir Riel Palmario.
Congratulations to all our students and to my colleagues in SMS Teofilo area. Congratulations to us. And don't forget our objective, why we are studying iEthics and why we are here teaching you iEthics is how to live a good life, the pursuit of a good life. And yes, it's easy to learn, to get more knowledge, ideas, but the challenge lies on how to practice and how to live out what you have learned in the school. And so congratulations, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Riel. Now we will call the participants for this year's Ethics Bowl. Next slide, please. May we call on Cluster 1, Marielle Grace Coloma from FDGE 1. Kindly please come forward. And the rest of the members of the group, Uzula Fukuda, FHTM 3, Daphne Lineage Villar, FDGE 4, Hannah Nicolette Villanueva, FDGE 4, and our professors, and Sir Ben Carlo Atim and Rodney Marie De Leon. Okay. Sir Rodney. Okay. Thank you. May we call on Cluster 2, headed by Williana Erich Balane from FFGBH 1. Cluster 2. Next, Reba Monique Kubaku from the same cluster, FFGBH 1. Mario Delgado, FLG 5, and Jedrain Junio, FLG 5. And
Professor Elmitra de la Cruz, and Sir Aaron Mika Esteban. Thank you. Cluster 2. Cluster 3, headed by Rafael Ryan Gatchalian, FHTHR1. Micaela Magtangop, FFTAA1. Miss Sofia Valdez, FFPPD1. And Hannah May Sarmiento, with Professors Janina Perez, Sir Alan J. Natividad, and Katya Manalastas. Miss Janina and Miss Katya.
Next cluster, we have cluster 4, Chloe Saroko, FFPTH1. Saroka, sorry. Clark Bernas, FFPTH1. Sean Tyler Damalerio, FLGE2. Alex Francis Fusingan, FDGE2. Professors, we have Eden John Roman and Roy Joseph Sotelo. For cluster 5, we have Gabriela May Diwa, FFTG D1. Logan Jose Gonzalez, FFTG D2. John Gabriel Cayetano, FDG 3. Aaron Cheska Apad, FDG 3. Professors, we have Ronald Yago and Dr. Julius Tutor.
And now, let's proceed to the most awaited announcement of winners. We would like to hand over the spotlight to the chair of the Board of Judges, Brother Michael Valenzuela, FSC. May we also call Sir Carl Salvador, the chairperson of Theology and Philosophy area, to give the awards. Take it away, Brother Mike and Sir Carl.
So thank you very much to all our Benildean participants, to our judges and audience for a truly meaningful and thought-provoking ethics ball. So we have reached the most exciting part of our program. So handa na ba kayo? Ay, mukhang hindi pa. Ready na ba kayo? Yes, okay. So we go now to the announcement of winners. So before we proceed, let's once again give a big round of applause to all our teams for their effort. dedication, and passion in today's meaningful discussions. So truly everyone here, kayo po lahat ay winner for engaging in ethical reflection and dialogue. So we invite Brother Michael to join us. So we're going to announce first second runner-up. Okay, second runner-up.
The second runner-up is the first presenter of Group 3 of Cluster 3, first presenter. Sa first runner. Okay. All right. The first runner-up goes to Cluster 2, the fifth speaker. Cluster 2, fifth speaker.
Teachers, please join us with your students. Yeah. Yes. Yung third runner-up, please come here forward muna. On this side, cluster 3 for signature. We need your signature, ha?
Okay. Yes. Okay. And then Cluster 1. Our champion is Cluster 1. Speaker number speaker mamaya.
Please come join us, cluster 1. Okay. With your teachers. Okay. This is your cash prize. Yeah. Of course, hindi kompleto without the best speakers of each top 3 teams. Yan. So we call the best speaker for next slide. Meron ba tayo?
Okay. So let's start with the second runner-up.
The best speaker for second runner-up is Rafael Ryan Gatchalian.
So our second, another best speaker from our first runner-up, we have Williana Erich Balani.
And our best speaker, Hannah Grace Coloma. Hannah, that's right. Correct? I'm sorry. No, it's tama ba? I'm sorry. It's Mary Grace Coloma. I'm sorry. Marielle Grace, sorry.
Okay. Congratulations. May we call also the two groups, the two groups who were not able to make 4 and 5 to go to claim their consolation prize here. To Miss Cecil. Congratulations also, group 4 and 5.
So all the participants will receive what? Cash prize. Lahat kayo, ha? So, may request, please all be seated if you're done signing your signature. So we still have the
Okay.
the last part.
Also, those who are on Zoom or YouTube live streaming, make some virtual noise, click the clap and hooray buttons. At this point, as we are drawing close to the conclusion of our program, may we call again the chairperson of the Theology and Philosophy area, Sir Carl Salvador, for the closing remarks and word of thanks.
Hey, so good afternoon, everyone. As we come to the close of this year's 8th Benildean Ethics Ball, let us take a moment to appreciate what we have witnessed today. Not just a competition of ideas, but a celebration of values, dialogue, and integrity. Each team has shown that ethics is not merely about right or wrong answers, but about listening, reasoning, and understanding the deeper meaning behind our choices. You have all demonstrated the spirit of respectful discourse, where conviction meets humility and intellect meets compassion. To our participants, congratulations for your courage, insight, and teamwork. You have reminded us that ethical thinking is not confined to the classroom. It is a way of life. To our dear judges, moderators, and organizers, thank you for your wisdom, patience, and commitment to nurturing this culture of reflection. And to everyone present and watching our live streaming, may the lessons and conversations we shared today inspire us to continue living ethically and thinking critically in all that we do. Let us make this event not be an ending, but a beginning, a call to engage more deeply with the moral challenges of our time, guided by truth, faith, justice, and love. So again, thank you and congratulations sa lahat. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Sir Carl. Let's now have our much-awaited photo opportunity. Okay, may we call everyone, participants, our esteemed board of judges, our dear professors. Please come in front for our photo opportunity. Thank you. Organizers, please come forward. Dear professors. Okay. Okay. Kindly be all seated in front. All right. Finally, may we call Sir Yuel for the event evaluation reminders to the participants. Sir Yuel, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ms. Allen. So we asked all our participants online and face-to-face to scan the QR code or click the link that will be given through the chat so that we can take note of your attendance and feedback for our activity. This attendance and feedback will be given or submitted to your respective iEthics professors. So please make sure to accomplish completely the form. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Michael.
That concludes the 8th Benildean Ethics Ball competition.
Once again, kudos, blessings, and thank you everyone for participating in today's competition.
This has been your host. I'm Miss Allen Pescasio.
And Ben Carlo Atim, have an extraordinary day ahead. Animo Benil.
Animo Benild. Thank you. Dear winners, kindly get your certificate to Miss Ira. First runner-up to the champion